Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about a topic that I get most asked about, which is how to get through the days where you just want to give up, how to keep going despite all the uncertainty, despite all the challenges that we are facing in life. How do we keep going, working towards our goals, especially if sometimes we question whether or not what we're doing has a point, a purpose, or just whether it's something that we really want to do. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you can be notified of when I post my next video. And if you do have something to share, don't hesitate to comment below. So let's get stuck into it, I suppose. So the first thing is to remember your why. So quite simply, why are you getting up in the morning? What is your purpose? What is the point of you doing that action? Because if you don't know why you're doing something, it can be very, very difficult to find the motivation to do that thing. So this can require some very difficult questioning, to really look at yourself and really ask yourself whether what you're doing is something that you really want to do, whether it's something that really aligns with who you are, with your values, whether it's something that really resonates with you. So finding out, why am I doing something, especially when you want to give up, to remind yourself, why was this so important to me? And maybe in the moment, if you're feeling really stuck and if you feel really uninspired and just this heavy weight is pressing on your chest, maybe try to remember a time when you did feel inspired, when you did feel that there was a reason why you had this intention that you wanted to work towards. So that's my first tip, is to really do that. And something that can really help to remind us of our why is when you are feeling good, to write that down. Why are you feeling good? Why are you feeling inspired? So that when you don't feel inspired, you can read through that and remember why you have set this intention. So that's the first thing I would recommend. Now, the second thing is kind of connected to the first thing, is to always have an intention behind every action that you do. So especially when you're feeling like you're giving up, to always have an intention behind what you're doing. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And to give yourself a reason so that you have something substantial to push you forwards. And this may sound obvious, but many of us just go through our day without really thinking about why we're doing things. We just do it on autopilot. And when we do things like that, it can be easy to just feel empty, and it can be easy to feel like just unclear because we don't have that clarity within ourselves. So always making sure that you have an intention behind what you're doing. And now I'm going to talk about something that maybe, I don't know, maybe a lot of people don't talk about this thing because it is a bit confronting, but it honestly is something that's really changed my life, which is to actually take responsibility for how you feel. So oftentimes when we feel like utter crap, right, or when we feel like we want to give up, when we feel that sense of hopelessness, we often feel like it's something outside of ourselves, that it's something that's happening to us. And while to some extent that can be true because we feel a certain way because of something externally that has happened to us, we always have a choice about how we react to that thing. So if you can empower yourself to give yourself responsibility and be like, okay, I am choosing to act on this feeling or sensation right now. I'm choosing to stay in bed right now because I don't feel like I have the strength to get out of it. I'm choosing to not do this. I'm choosing to not do this because I'm afraid, or I'm choosing to not do this because I'm sad, right? And this is something to really question, is sometimes it's totally valid to not do something, right? So it's not, when it comes to achieving your dreams, when it comes to being productive, when it comes to being a high achiever, right? We often feel the pressure to constantly be outperforming ourselves, constantly do more. If we're not doing something, then we're not valuable, right? So it's important to find a balance here, but really find also, sometimes just doing something, however small, just making that tiny choice to say, I want to be here. Maybe I don't know why, but I want to be here. Today I'm going to choose to open my eyes, because every day we do choose to open our eyes because we don't want the consequences of keeping our eyes closed. Today I'm choosing to get out of bed. Today I'm choosing to make myself a tea. Today I'm choosing to clean my room because I know that when I clean my room, it will help me clear my head. Because I know that if I don't clean my room, I will feel cluttered. I'm choosing to get dressed because I know that this will help me take that one step forwards. So when you feel like you want to give up, every single thing you do, it's a choice, and remind yourself of that. Tell yourself this is a choice. And that empowerment can immediately make you still feel like you have control of your life. So one of the biggest things that my clients have told me, and something that I've experienced myself, honestly, since losing someone very close to me in 2019, followed by the pandemic, is that feeling of loss of control, that feeling of, I just don't feel like I have the power over what happens to me. I thought I did, I thought I had a choice, I thought I knew, but actually no. Literally anything could happen at any moment. We're alive one moment, we could be dead the next. And that's something that really started to become more real for me. And this is something that so many of my clients have been sharing with me. So just having that small level of empowerment in your day, even if it's I'm making myself a cup of tea, it may sound silly, but honestly, that can really help to just know I do have control. I don't always have control of what happens to me, but I do have control of what I do about it. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is allowing the space to actually feel what we need to feel. So again, I think this can be very confronting, especially if you're feeling really, really terrible, if you're starting to question everything. It honestly, having been in numerous times in my life where I've really questioned everything, is that can be a very confronting place to be in, and it can be honestly quite terrifying. And often we don't want to experience suffering, right? We don't want to experience the pain. It's something that's genuinely terrifying, so we'll do our best to avoid that. But when we avoid it, it doesn't go away, right? So getting through days where you want to give up also usually has an element of also being honest and saying, maybe today is not the day that I can face this, and that's completely fine. But there will be a day that I will face this because I'm strong and I can do this, right? So that's something to bear in mind, is maybe that day is not today, right? But it might be tomorrow. It might be the next day. And if you're going through something that's very, very challenging, it might be beneficial to get some support. Getting support is something that strong people do. It's so empowering to get support. If you need help, it doesn't mean you're weak. It just means you're human. None of us are perfect. And sometimes it can be helpful to just have that person to help us unpick all the knots that we've been raveled up in, right? Because someone who's at the outside, it's easy for them to see than it is for us. So that's something to bear in mind. So getting support, so whether that is by a therapist, whether that is by a coach, it kind of depends what you're struggling with, or what it is, the thing that you're looking to unravel or unlock. But having that support, honestly, is so, so helpful. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is doing something every day that brings you joy, right? So if you're only just working towards your intentions, you're just pushing all the time, no wonder you feel like giving up, because it might feel like this impossible thing that will never really happen, especially with, again, all the uncertainty. There is a thought of, okay, what if all of this gets cancelled, right? Which it might do. So how do you get through those days? So something that really, really helps is to do something every day that brings you joy, however small. It could be something really, really simple. Like for me, something that brings me such joy is just to have a cup of tea. A really nice cup of tea. It really makes me smile. Or just taking some time when I'm walking outside to listen to the sound of nature. So on the days that I want to give up, I remind myself of the things that bring me joy. And how I do that is I typically, on days that I feel good, or even on days that I don't feel good, I might sit down and just write down some things that make me happy. Just really, really simple things like the sound of my cat purring, the sound of the wind, the sound of rain, the smell of a forest in summertime. I write down all these really, really simple things that remind me that I do want to be alive, things that remind me that it's worthwhile to be here. So I recommend to create a little book of joy, or a little joy jar, right, where you write down everything and then you put it in the jar and then you take it out whenever you feel hopeless, to remind yourself that there is hope, right? So that's something that can really help. The next thing I wanted to talk about is just going on that joy, that coming on from that joy, is to plan something every so often that brings you joy. So even if you don't know if you can do it, so it's important to make sure that you plan things that are pretty sure that will happen. So obviously something that I used to do a lot of before was plan holidays, so plan trips and things like that abroad, because I love travel and that's something that gives me a lot of joy. But nowadays, although I do still plan on doing some intentional traveling, something that really helps and brings me a lot of joy is just doing things like going for a hike. Something that's really simple, that's very likely that will happen. And because of Ireland, like if you live in Ireland, you might know that the weather is quite unpredictable. So what I do is I plan something I want to do, like a hiking trip or some kind of nice walk I want to do, and then I make sure that I have the space so that when the sun shines on a weekend, or as I'm self-employed, sometimes it might even be on a weekday if I actually manage to spread things out, I will go for that walk, or I will go get that takeaway with my husband, or whatever the small thing is that really will bring me joy. So I recommend that you make sure that you schedule those in because they are important. Remember that this life is here for you to live. Each moment is a gift, right? Once this moment is gone, we're on to the next moment. We all have a finite amount of time here. So make sure that you use this time. Make sure that you're using it in a way that you want to use it. So I hope this video was helpful in some way. I did make it a little bit shorter because I wanted to get to the point faster and also provide something that's a bit more pithy. So I didn't go into too much depth with all of these things. So let me know if you like this kind of style of video in the comments below. And if you did like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified of future videos. I post new videos every Friday. I talk about stress management, life with anxiety, navigating life as a digital nomad and entrepreneur. And I also will consider posting some videos about traveling, which I know is slightly different to stress management. So you can let me know if that's something that you're interested in. And I hope that you have a lovely rest of your day. Bye for now.